Hi, aligned souls. Welcome to the Soul Revival podcast, where we have meaningful conversations to help you explore tools and healing methods that help you return to your soul self. Join us as we help you merge the ethereal and the material worlds, allowing you to live your most fulfilling and aligned life. I'm Lindsay Stanton, author, somatic practitioner, intuitive Reiki master, and grief coach.
Hello, I am Autumn, a believer in miracles, intuitive guide, and psychic medium. We're your hosts and guides. We don't just talk healing, we live it. This is where soul meets strategy, spirit meets structure, and our highest selves take the mic.
Welcome back to this episode of the Soul Revival podcast. We are so excited to have today's guest. It is a beautiful reciprocal opportunity to have on Dr. Christopher David, CD, better known as CD, Dr. CD, right?
Yeah.
On the show, I had the pleasure of joining Chris on his podcast, The Mental Breakthrough, and it was such a beautiful conversation. I knew that we needed to extend it further, and so we invited Chris to join us on our podcast. So excited to dive into today's episode. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. I've been doing the podcast, hosting them, and to be on this end is it's fun, but it's different. I don't know what to anticipate.
Anticipation,
It's
right?
fun, right? Yeah.
So we love to start every episode by asking one question, and that is, what makes you feel like you're most aligned to soul self?
Well, and it's actually interesting. It came up in at the end of our conversation. Is for me, I'm in the process of writing this book, How to Live for the Death You Hope to Have, and that has become this uh north star for me to check myself at the end or throughout the day, at the end of every day. um it's it's a way to live in the present by projecting myself into the future and thinking, if I were to look back at the end of my life, assuming I live a long uh life without a tragic accident that strikes me first, even though that could of course happen, just knowing what an ideal death would look like and what my thought would be leads me to live my life as authentic as possible, and it aligns me with that. And again, it's not about achieving that. Anything could happen. I might not die that way, but if I die from some tragic accident, I still, the point is that that's how I wanted to live. I still would be living the truest life possible. So for me, it's constant reflecting on, how would I want to die? Am I living my life right now in a way that aligns with what an ideal death would be? So for me, it's really that.
I love that. I love that. And actually, I think, um, my journey in grief has been such a reflection of that. It takes you to what is true, what's important, and what really needs to be the focal point of every day. And that might look different every single day, but tapping into the larger picture and grief has a way of making you readjust and recognize the minutia from what's really important, like no other thing, I feel. And I love that because I feel that very much in my day to day now, and that's obviously shifted in the last almost 5 years. But I love that answer. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes, that was a beautiful answer, a beautiful way to answer. I'm not sure that I've heard it before, but it really put a different perspective on my heart. It reminds me of YOLO, you only live once. Just living every day to the fullest and embracing every step along the way. Dr. CD, why don't you introduce yourself to our audience? Who are you? What do you do? I heard that, or Lindsay had stated that you live completely off grid, which I am fascinated about. I think that that is the life that everyone, well, I can't say everyone, but I personally would love to get to.
Yeah, I don't completely live off grid. I guess that would be a goal. I live in a way that I could go off grid because we have like a hand well pump, but I don't. I'm connected to water. We don't have sewage, so have like septic and but most of the water actually from like showers and stuff just goes out into the wilderness. And we are connected to electricity, so but we are far out in the mountainous jungles. There's a village close by, so we have the uh we're close enough to have some uh basics, but at the same time, if I'm a prepper, I don't have a bunker, but like I want to know that if all the food supply go down and all the electricity runs out, or I mean isn't being produced by wherever it's getting, it's somebody's burning coal or somewhere to get it here. So I could go off grid completely, but anyway, yeah. The point is, we're out here. My wife and I wanted to live this, just as self sufficient as possible, and then again, if I needed to, really turn it up. So we, I came out to Thailand about 13 years ago, and I came out here for martial arts. I'd been a mixed martial artist and traveled the world there, uh, competing. And Muay Thai is extremely popular in the martial arts world. I want to do some Muay Thai, so I came out here. But I was kind of at the end of my career as far as just over 20 years if I count my like wrestling in high school and college that led me through that uh, period. That there's a lot of wear and tear on my body, and I love Thailand. I love Buddhism, and I was just like, this is where I want to be. What can I do? I had graduated with a bachelor's degree in philosophy, so that gave me the opportunity to get a work permit and teach English. But actually, it's extremely easy to teach English here. Most of the people I was teaching English with had all they had was a passport from America or the UK or Australia or somewhere that's a native English speaking country. It's very easy to teach English over here. You just need like a 30-day teaching English course and being a native English speaker, but you can't get a work permit that way. So I had a little better opportunity than a lot of people that come out here and start teaching English. That I did have that, even though I had never used it for anything, because I was just competing in martial arts the second I graduated. And then so I met my wife, who I'm with right now. Shortly after I came here, we just connected, and for the first part of our relationship, we did a lot of traveling. She was managing a hotel, and I was just teaching English, but I soon got a job at teaching at the university. So making decent money out here, which is not, I mean, just a few $1,000s a month, but you only need about $1,000 to live pretty comfortably a month. So we're able to put like $1,000 away maybe, and land is cheap out here, so we could get something for like $30,000, and for me, I've always wanted to live below my means, and to me, money is a way to create a lifestyle that uses as little money as possible. Rather than, I'm not trying to make as much money as possible, but I want to make sure that I use my money in a way that's going to make living not require money. And that's we both had that mindset, and we started uh planning for it, and we kind of calculated out, said it's going to be 5 years. Let's just buckle down 5 years and just work really hard. Don't take those vacations we were taking, that because we were just kind of blowing some money we had it to enjoy traveling. And we're young and new lovers, so I mean, we want to enjoy it, but we wanted to have started a family, and we wanted to be like in a rural area. And when we did our traveling around, we honed in on this area. It's not where she's from, it's not where we met, but it's like this. It's in the mountains more. Thailand, of course, is tropical and really hot, but you go a little in the mountains, you do get these cool winters that are nice. So, it was planned in a lot of ways, yeah. And then so now, I mean, for income, I'm an English teacher. That's my main thing. I teach online, so I'm just we're on the land. We have a son now. He's 5 years old, and we're homeschooling. So it's just living off the land. We've been creating this lifestyle kind of in our minds. I mean, we drew pictures. So many aspects of what we drew back when we were in Phuket is the island where we met, and then uh, it, it it's constantly like playing out.
You manifested your vision.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Love that.
The freedom that brings too.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it all happened pre-COVID too. We moved up not long before though, when we bought this land, which was really nice because it shifted. I mean, you mentioned that to Autumn about like everybody, but it is funny how it has become pretty I feel like it's in the consciousness that people want to go off grid. I think the COVID situation definitely made people realize supply chains was the one thing that has always been. I've always had this prepper mindset that I didn't know what might go wrong, but I'm just like I just don't like living in a city. It just I don't feel safe. I can just see that it would just take any sort of incident to just get cut off so easily. And I think we kind of beat the rush to do it. I feel like there might be more obstacles. It's been a journey.
You mentioned a little bit about your background. How do you merge your background with studies in philosophy and psychology? Obviously, you're a doctor. How do you merge that background with your spiritual wisdom?
Yeah, I guess I'd start out with I did I'm definitely attracted to Eastern religion, Eastern philosophy, and martial arts. I did some karate when I was real young. Different, the different groups. I mean, we call it in the West, we call it karate. Technically, I was doing Chinese Kempo at one point, but it was there's some there. There's some spirituality there that trickled in to my consciousness. And then I got into wrestling, and I remember being quoted in the yearbook that wrestling is not a sport; it's a way of life, and it truly is. That there's something about wrestling more than the other sports, but you can get it from uh, other things and with nature, like mountain climbing, can do it in a different way. But where you push yourself to the extreme. I mean, it's such a that sport is so much. Um, it just takes so much, and you have the team. I like wrestling because you have a team, but then you are competing out there alone, and there's something about that. Just man versus man. Obviously woman versus woman as well. In fact, actually, sometimes men and women wrestle. I don't know how it's changed now, but I've had to wrestle girls because I was always a smaller guy. But anyway, the point is, you're just you and an opponent, and it's humbling because you lose sometimes and then sometimes you win. I mean, you it's blood, sweat, and tears. You go through it, you break, especially with your teammates when you're training. Everybody is pushed to the limit at some point, and it breaks you in a way, but you have this support. It's a very spiritual experience. Martial arts, I mean, so, like Miyamoto Musashi, a famous samurai, is a philosopher. Sun Tzu, the art of war. I mean, when you really look into like martial arts, it is actually a deep philosophy. And I mean, Bruce Lee is a philosopher. So that's definitely connected. And then my mother told me to, you know, just pursue get a bachelor's degree. I was always good at school. I liked it, and I was wondering what I should do. She said it doesn't really matter. Nobody really gets a job in what their degree was. Of course, that's not true, but that was she didn't want to put that pressure on me, which was good because I was still really more focused on wrestling. I just was doing academics. And in the way our university system is set up, the first 2 years is pretty much just general education anyway. And so I was just I'll just take all the classes that I have to take. And then I took a philosophy class, which was it it made up like you get to choose from different boxes. I was like, oh, I'll take that class. It filled a prerequisite, and that flat. Oh, I said, this is what I want to major in. So philosophy was something that it resonated with me when I learned it. But again, it so many of the concepts that came up in philosophy are, I mean, about the mind and the body.
Yeah.
It's things you experience in sports. So those are really connected. When I graduated, I was I, I had been competing in martial arts and it wasn't popular yet. Like the MMA was illegal in America, but I had studied abroad in Japan where it was kind of blowing up, and this is like 2005. This is where it was the focus of it was. So I realized when I came back, I was kind of had a head start from other people, and I was just like, I don't want to continue. I wanted to be a philosophy professor at that time, but then I was like, that can wait. My school can wait. I'm gonna just pursue this martial arts. So that kind of took me around for a decade. It landed me in Thailand, and then and then I started. I just wanted to stay in Thailand. I love Thailand. I loved everything. Of course, I love my wife as well. But I mean, like Thailand, just this is where I want to be. So that's when I started teaching, and then my master's degree was in education, teaching English learners. So I really kind of focused on that. And then I was about to get a. The easiest route would have been to get a doctorate in educational psychology, but I was looking at the courses. It didn't look that interesting. It was too focused on education, and I did want to go out. I mean, I like teaching English. I'm good at it. I enjoy it, but I was like, I want to kind of branch out and go back to that philosophy. So psychology is, especially the mind. I mean, that was the philosophy of mind was my the area I was most intrigued. So psychology kind of caps that off. So for me, I mean, it would be hard to have stated it in advance, but it definitely it was is threaded together
Yeah.
by same thing. Yeah.
We have an exciting opportunity to share with you.
Did you know inside the Soul Revival community, we have a giveaway? One lovely soul is gifted something sacred, a Reiki session, an intuitive reading, a powerful course, or even access into the community itself. This isn't just a giveaway. It's a soul blessing, a moment where healing meets divine timing. You'll feel the shift, you'll see the signs, and you'll know you're not alone anymore. Say yes to your intuition, your healing, your next chapter. Enter now at the link below in the show notes labeled Soul Revival Giveaway for your chance to win.
Let's get back to today's episode.
I love that. I love how you tied in the sports element. I've never really thought about that before, but I've run competitively my entire life. So, and very similar to wrestling, actually, where you've got a team, but it's
Uh-huh.
all you when you're out on the
Yeah.
track, right? And
Yeah.
so I think it's really interesting because it does tap you into your mind-body connection and probably your soul connection because at some level you need to dig deeper than your physical self to really tap in and be in the zone, as they say in running. So I love that connection, and it's interesting. We've got some good overlaps. I have a minor in philosophy, and I loved philosophy. It was actually
Yeah.
probably my favorite area of study in school.
Yeah. 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 It is. It's funny. So many people would ask, well, what are you going to do with that? And it's like, I mean, I
Just,
didn't always have the best answer, but it's just like,
yeah,
I
you
mean,
can enjoy it.
I'm just like, I was like, this, I mean, it is, yeah, it ended up perfect because when I came over here all you need to get a work permit over here is have a bachelor's degree, be a native English speaker, have taken this 30-day course on teaching English, and it didn't matter what my bachelor's. So my mom was right on that. Didn't matter what my bachelor's was in, but having that bachelor's really made it a lot easier to be an English teacher over here. Yeah, no, they didn't. It didn't matter what it was in, so it was perfect.
That's beautiful. Dr. CD, I have to tell you, I wrestled as well when I was
Oh
younger.
yeah,
Yeah,
so you
so I
wrestled some.
totally was
Yeah,
I never put two and two together, but
yeah.
cutting weight, losing the weight, being making sure that you're the right weight, the mind games that your mind would play on you when you
Oh
have to
yeah,
starve yourself to make the weight.
yeah.
It is a total conscious awareness and heart-led sport, completely, especially when you're on the mat one-on-one.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
when
That
you were
weight
saying that, I
thing.
was like light bulbs going off in my mind.
Oh
Because
yeah,
it was, it was totally that, and with running too, Lindsay. I mean, just sports in
yeah,
general.
yeah. I did track it as well, and then yeah, and I did football, but I didn't quite get that experience. Football, I was really just staying in shape for wrestling because I wasn't very good, and I was small. I'm a smaller guy, so it's like football wasn't my sport. Wrestling is like I get to go against somebody my weight, so it was fair.
So I have another question for you. What's your personal toolkit for joy, and how can listeners create their own to counter feelings of stagnation?
Yeah, I mean, the words like joy and happiness, I have to take just this Buddhist approach to to like those are fleeting emotions that I'm not really seeking those, but I'm definitely looking for content of oneness and harmony with where I'm at. So there's a lot of letting go of everything that's causing any pain. So joy is going to be the absence of those things that are burdening you. This goes back to what I kind of discovered through interviewing a lot of people who experienced grief, and who had experienced grief, but really what I learned was their conversations with their loved ones that were dying, and the way how all of them had wished they let go of these feelings of shame, resentment, regret, and so I try to check myself throughout the day, and am I holding on to these for any reason? And if you can let those go, I think it's the equivalent of joy, although it's not joy specifically that I'm chasing. Yeah.
Love that. I love that. I know so many spiritual leaders and those that share their wisdom really feel that this time specifically in the space that we hold and physical time as we know it today was intentionally chosen by us as souls because it represents a rise in the collective. What are your thoughts on that with your background? And can you share your wisdom on that?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I mean, I joke about it, but I literally, yeah, I visualize, uh even though ultimately I believe the soul dissolves in some sense, like I don't believe in a permanence of self, but I do still have this image, this idea of these souls, and I was one of them, and that we like chose to come into this life, and I also, with my son, my wife had two miscarriages before he was born, and I just always go over it. That was probably the experience of grief the most, was just those experiences, and wondering why, and that was during the time when I was mentioning that the 5 years of just buckling down. We were actually still trying to have a kid then, and then it literally, the day we bought our land, or not, we bought our land, we didn't even have enough money to start building a house. We were living in a tent for a while. We finally got this first little building, which is actually my office right now. It's just this, it's like $6,000, just a little building, so simple. But my wife, we conceived like instantly, and then we were trying for 7 years, had two miscarriages, and then, so that's, although I joke about myself, I visualize like I chose this life at this time, and then, but my my closest like feeling is with my son, that like I just think about, I still wonder, was he part of those miscarriages? Were those other souls that jumped in too soon? It's a weird thing to think about, and it is how I look at it. But at the same time, there's part of me that I definitely think just the earthly realm as a whole is definitely a unique place. Like I think it's like no other. I would say it's a fraction of what there is out there, and it's
Sure.
funny that we choose this. Though I definitely think that we choose this, and it's weird because there's a lot of suffering here, and but at the same time, I feel like we're blessed to be here. I feel like we had to either be in a long line, or we had to fight to like push each other to get in here. That is the feeling I have. Is that like we worked hard to get here. Like we tried. This is not a we weren't like, oh, I got to go to Earth again. I really feel like this, even though I don't think it's yeah, I think we know that we're gonna suffer, but there's definitely something that everybody's fighting over to come here, and I'm blessed
Yeah,
to be.
I agree with that deeply, and I feel that viscerally in my body as you're saying it. And I think that, ultimately it goes back to without pain, without grief, we can't have love. We have to have duality, and in order to feel either thing deeply, we have to have the other as its
Yeah.
counterpart, which I feel like is the reason we choose to be here. And coming to that semblance of peace and harmony that you were mentioning earlier, that more Buddhist outlook of things, is a return to center, and ultimately are probably the end game of us being here is to rise the collective and be part of that oneness energy that ultimately takes hold versus the polarity that we have now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that
Absolutely.
answer, Lindsay.
Yeah.
I totally
Beautiful.
think that Earth is a miracle. Like, to be here is a miracle. We are the co-creators of our reality. Love exists all around us, and it's just doing the work to feel that love. And it does come with duality, but to be here on earth in this time is such a miracle. And Dr. Cedi, I've experienced three ectopic pregnancies before I had my miracle son. He's 6 months old now.
Oh, wow.
And, I've really thought about that too with the souls. Like, did they come too soon? Is this the same soul? And I
Yeah.
sat in meditation, and it's almost like I had to evolve as a person. I had to go a little deeper and evolve as a person before I was able to hold a container for his soul. And I don't
Mhm.
know if you resonate with that, but I'm like,
Yeah.
I had to get that out because I really feel that the pain and this and really I was told I would never be able to carry children again, and I sat in Reiki healing, and I healed my uterus. My uterus completely split, and I had an 8 pound 5 ounce baby at 36 weeks. So,
Wow.
miracles are all around us each and every day. It takes belief and faith in that higher consciousness and that higher energy to bring it to earth and to hold that container. And I think that that's why we're all here, to remind people, hey, we don't have to live it. We can feel it. We can feel those lower vibrations, but we don't have to
Mhm.
live in it anymore, because earth is so much more magical than that. And we have to hold that vibration for it.
Yeah,
And it comes to
absolutely.
me too, as you both were talking, that I feel like it's a point in time and space. There's a merging of divine timing and energetic vibration. And when the two come together, it opens a pathway, whether that's a child being born, whether that's a new relationship, whether that's the place that you're meant to live, whatever that miracle looks like. I feel like there's ultimately a merging between those two things that allows for the opening for it to occur.
Yeah. Yeah. That whole time is part of this realm that is not real reality is just the fact that our life is this linear path, and that's how we experience life, but there's no way that's actually like how how it is. It's it's just our experience of it, and so that's why that yeah, that the whole timing thing, that is where that's what makes this realm so unique, is that we do experience this linear journey, and yeah, absolutely, that there's
Autumn, do you have anything else that's calling your heart to ask?
I did write another one down. What's one piece of wisdom you'd offer to someone that's struggling to reconnect with their meaning of life, or trying to get clarity on a situation?
yeah, well, yeah, I hate to just kind of repeat, but I'll that if just how just what's your ideal death, like what is your ideal death? And I guess it that's an abrupt question, and it's a little too heavy maybe for somebody who hasn't thought about it, but what can instantly come from that is how do you not want to die? What would be the worst way to die? Oh, okay, that's easy. I don't want to get hit by a train, or something, or some people maybe, well, hit by a train could be easy way. I don't want to be in pain. I don't want to be a burden on loved ones. I don't want to, lose all my bodily functions. And then and then once you start, I don't want to be alone. I don't, all these things. Then all of a sudden, actually, when you start talking about all the things you don't want, you actually are painting an ideal death in the void of what you don't want. So it's actually really easy. And then look at your life and think, okay, how much of the way is my life right now? How much of that is in line with that? And one of the examples I use, one of the ones that came up a lot in my research, as well as just researching other research, was that nobody wants to die in a hospital. Most people said explicitly they don't want to die in a hospital, but most people do.
Be sure to check out the show notes below to see if you're the winner of our giveaway.
Ways we don't want to die have to do with the way we're taking care of ourselves, and mentally, physically, spiritually. So I answer, but I really do believe by kind of just visualizing what an ideal death is can make you live uh with meaning.
Yeah, create alignment in your day to day. I love that.
Absolutely love that.
Well, this has been such a pleasure. I am so thankful you were able to join us. And I really just loved our deep dive and conversation on your show. For those who haven't checked it out yet, please check out Dr. CD's The Mental Breakthrough. Such a beautiful, beautiful show, and so many intentional, well thought, well crafted, and articulated questions were asked during that interview. And I know your other interviews as well. So I would encourage everybody to check out your podcast. Where else can people find you?
Yeah, I guess on X, I'm CD Suntree, and on that, I know I have like I think that's where the link tree is. So that's an easy way to get Facebook. I'm on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and YouTube, and but I guess if there's one place to go in my, yeah, there's that link tree link, and then but yeah, the YouTube, the mental breakthrough, that's on. The full episodes are on Spotify, actually anywhere that you them. Yeah.
I'll
Well,
be sure to link that in the show notes as well. Your
Okay.
link to all of your platforms.
Okay.
thank you so much
All
for
right.
this beautiful conversation. I know you opened people's hearts and eyes to so many things during our conversation today. So we very, very much appreciate your energetic exchange and being on our show as well.
I, everything's, yeah. I enjoyed being here, and it's fun to be on this side of the podcast. And yeah, I appreciate you having me and what you're doing. And I just love making that connection. As I mentioned in ours, I mean, it's funny, but I don't have any native English speakers to have these deep conversations with, so it's a blessing to be able to, we sometimes look down on technology, but I'm thankful for it to uh be able to connect around the world and everything. So it's so amazing. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure meeting you. Thank you so much.
All right, bye bye. Thank you.
Bye. If today's words stirred something in you, that's no coincidence. Your soul is speaking and it's ready to be heard. If you resonated with today's episode, Spirit is cheering you on, encouraging you. Start choosing yourself again. Start saying yes to your healing and join our sacred community over at www.thesoulrevival.com.
Because healing is better when we do it together. If you love this episode, be sure to hit follow, leave a review, and share this with someone who's ready to return to their soul self. Thank you, Aligned Souls.